Okay folks, let's design some guns. So we're gonna be working on a shotgun and we're gonna be creating it out of a cube. So okay, needs to be a little bit, actually the width is I think fine, maybe a little bit taller. Cool. So now let's go to box cutter and face, that's fine. And let's actually set it to 5 degrees. There we go. Just make it taller. There we go. So let's again start somewhere here. Up. All the way down here. Then the handle. Down. And this should do. How are we looking? We're looking pretty peachy. This handle could be a little bit thicker. Do you know what I mean? I think so. Also, we could kind of, rotate it like this, so it's a little bit wider here, but I think it's fine. This one needs to be fixed though. So hold control and boom, there we go. And this should be a little bit taller, yeah? Because we need to cut this on the top. So let's run the second cut. So now here we're gonna go in. It's gonna be too tall. Somewhere here maybe. I would say this is a good maybe distance, maybe a little bit taller. So we can move it later. Maybe from here, let's start going up. Like this. And all the way here like that. I think I need to bring it higher though. And then we can figure out the front. So the stock could be, in fact this stock could be a little bit higher than this. Let me just bring it up. Okay. Same here. See, like the blockout is a really important stage, so you don't want to rush it. You want to make sure that everything is peachy, you know what I mean? So let's just move it a little bit closer here. And maybe move it up a bit. That should do. This could be a little bit deeper, as in, maybe GG and slide it down. We can always extend the handle because at the moment the handle is a little bit too short, right? But we can extend it, it's okay. That's good. The front can be figured out later. The balance is the most important thing, The top here could be a little bit less, maybe less steep, and also could be a little bit longer. We could just snap it to increments, so we're gonna have some, some angles here. There we go, that's better. How are we looking? Yeah, this could be interesting. The front obviously could be dropped in here, so we could do something like this. And, and then kind of figure it out what we're gonna do with this, right? In fact, this could even go a bit differently. So you could go here, like this, at the angle, and, something like this, right? Just for fun, do you know what I mean? And then fit something in the middle here, but we can do it later. So I wouldn't worry about the front right now, okay? I'll just worry about it later. Cool. So let's just run another pass save. So now let's, let's apply this and let's start. Yeah, so here, let's just see this thickness, maybe a little bit narrower. Let me see this. GG, and let me just run another cut here. So, okay, and knife, and then, and this is not gonna work. Let me just grab this edge here as a guide, and then we can run it on a guide. So GY and just drop it down, right? Also, why the hell I have seam in here? I don't need seam, B-weight, crease. I don't actually need anything. Maybe B-weight, but let's just not mark it with anything at the moment, to be honest. I don't need any markings on my edges. I just wanted to apply booleans when I needed to be applied. So here we're gonna run a control B, C to clamp it, right? Which is gonna clamp our edges. There you go. You wanna go supple on this, do you know what I mean? And then 3 to clean it. So that's 1, and then we could run, you know, gentle bevel here, gentle bevel here, and then we could just, you know, bevel the whole thing here, right? The only problem is that if you do this like this and you're gonna have a really tiny bevel here, are you going to end up clamping it? So the other way of doing this will be to give it a generous bevel here on this side, right? And then bevel it all the way down here like this, you know, that could be another way of doing this, right? And then we can bevel the other side separately. So bevel this and then alt X to the other side. And I still think that this handle is a bit too thick. I really do. So, you know, another way of doing this, right, would be to slice just the handle, right? Slice just the handle. So we could grab a cube and move it somewhere here and align it somewhere here. Let's see if it's gonna work for us. I'm just riffing. You need to riff a lot when you're modeling. Yeah, you need to try a lot of things, different things, and see if they're gonna be working for you or not. Right? What we actually could do is align. I mean, grab this this bit, right? So curve extract and sharpen, and build off of this one. You know, so we're gonna have a cutter that's gonna be aligned with this side here. We could actually shade it as you know, shaded wire, so we can see what we're doing. And what I'm trying to achieve here is I'm trying to cut this on this angle here. So, you know, kind of like this, right? Go at an angle in here, maybe not as steep, maybe something like this, right? Maybe a little bit smaller. So let's go to chamfer width and, you know, make it a bit smaller with mesh machine. Bring it in here and let's see what we're gonna get, right? Let's see what we're gonna get. So let's just boolean this difference, right? You see what I mean? So now this is, you know, obviously too thin, so let's just go out, right? But we could go deeper here, you know what I mean? So you could still rotate this face a bit to make it not as, you know, crazy, and drop this down, right? And then mirror to the other side, right? And see what we're gonna get, right? You're gonna get this handle which is gonna be too thin, so again, move it here on the X a little bit. We could move it up, right? Higher here. You could move this past this bevel, you know, here somewhere, right? And then obviously we would need to drop it down, so, you know, right? And then you got this kind of like a the bottom of the gun is a bit more narrow, you know, and we could just increase the size of the top here and maybe move these outside a little bit so it's not as narrow, right? Another way of doing this would be to combine these, right? And then simply, you know, have this slanted edge and just, you know, do this, right? That's another way of doing this, which is pretty cool. But I think the bottom cannot be too, you know, too narrow. So, you know, I'm thinking this, something like this would be cool. We could also bring this one a little bit higher. And then another thing is you can do, you could angle it, you know. So if you're going to bring this one down, right, really down, and this one really high, then you can grab this edge and you can angle it, right? So, you know, you could do something like this, which is also interesting, right? But anyway, so now the gun is kind of slanting, you know, kind of slanting and sort of getting thinner towards the bottom, which is an interesting design, right? An interesting design. I'm not sure I like it though. What I wouldn't mind is having kind of like a, you know, point at which right? It just cuts off, you know what I mean? Like it just cuts off. Or even like a well-defined chamfer, you know? Well-defined chamfer. So the chamfer is, you know, very, very well defined. This area here between between the narrowing and the top is kind of defined with a narrow. I mean, it goes straight here, then chamfers and goes down. So it's not continuing here on a slanting kind of an edge, but it's sort of cutting it straight. We could always fix it in later on. That's another way of doing this, right? Let me just grab this. We don't need this. Yeah. I'm not sure about this, you know. I'm just not sure about this. Another way of doing this would be to run an edge parallel here, like this, right? Parallel to this edge. And create something like this, okay? So cut it with a knife, right? And then split it, right? And then collapse this one in. So grab this entire face and literally move it in, right? You see what I mean? So this would create this kind of like a chamfer here too, right? And this could be worked on as well. This could be beveled here, you know, so it's gonna be more supple. This is also an interesting design, and this one could be beveled, so this could be brought higher, right? And this entire section could be beveled, you know, right? See what I mean? All the way here, and then mirror to the other side. And I wonder if this is going to... Hang on, how deep is it going? Yeah, I think it's fine. That's fine. I think that's fine. And this part here could be not as crazy, you know. So we could actually run it all the way here, and then if you want to run the bevel like this, you need a guideline here. So you would need to run a guide with a knife going up, so AC to cut it through, right? And then, you know, run a bevel here, so it has something to run on. And we're not gonna be making it as supple as the front one, right? But you know, something like this. Another thing we could do is, before we run this bevel here, we could in fact change the shape of this handle, right? So watch this. If I grab this one, right, and I'm going to unbevel this, so unbevel this. Is it gonna work? Hang on a second. Let me just unfuse. There we go. So here, what I could do, right, is I could run a loop here. So cut it with a knife here, and you know, grab this loop here and simply move it backwards. So just grab this the custom orientation. There we go. Select this edge here and GY and move it in here, right? And then what we're gonna achieve is, I think this one is a little bit too wide. Maybe a bit thinner here. But this this one should be also a little bit less. This should be a little bit thicker. So GG and move it up here, and then this one could be moved. Let me see this. Actually, this is too deep. Hang on a second. GG. Yeah, move it somewhere here like this maybe. I think this could work, and I also think that this should be deeper up. So let's just create another one, and then GZ and move it up here. It should be deeper, so there's more space for the hand. And I think maybe even this one could be rotated, you know, like this, right? So there's more space for the hand to fit in the space between the index finger and the thumb, and I think this is gonna be too long. So probably we need to move it up a bit. And I also wonder if this one shouldn't be moved forward. So this way. Here. Right? Something like that. Okay, so we grab this entire face here, which should be straight, and then literally, you know, kind of align it like this, right? More or less. I think that's the play here. That's the play, right? And in fact, this one now, the whole thing could be moved, you know, moved somewhere here. Or we could GG this one. So it kind of aligns with this. You can hold control. It's all gonna snap one to another, you know. And then we could, I think this is actually fine now. So now we're gonna run the bevel on this one. Let's just connect these here. Come on. Okay, so let's run the bevel here, right? You see this? That's cool. And then we're gonna run the bevel all the way here. So now let's grab these, right? And 3, and then this one, and then bevel here, right? And alt X, boom, right? And then bevel here, and then we're gonna run this edge one more time. So okay, and AC. Well, let's run it all the way through, right? Peachy. And then we're gonna grab this one and run a bevel here, right? And mirror this, and I think this is gonna do well. We could go deeper on this bevel as well, but I think it's fine. And then we're going to offset this, right? We can do this with mesh machine. So offset, and let me see if I can turn off the loop slide here. Smooth vertex group loop slide Q, right? There we go. That's what you want. You don't want to move this, you know what I mean? So let's do something like this here, right? And we just going to extrude it. Now, what I could do is, you know, extrude it before I actually, see, this is going down, which is not really ideal. So let's select this face. Let's go to one more, create new custom transformation and try this now. E, Z, and it's actually doing the same thing, which is interesting. Let me see this. Because I don't need any of these, right? We want to remove them. See, it's not flat. So, yeah, this is not flat. Definitely not flat. So we're going to have to flatten this. This is definitely not flat. 100%. So what's the reason for this that it's not flat? I wonder. What we could do here is shift curve extract, which is going to do the same thing. Interesting. So another way of doing this would be, well, we could just flatten it manually. I mean, yeah, fuck it. Let's just flatten it manually. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna select this right here, okay? All these faces, right? And flatten it to this one. So Y and flatten. There we go. And then we're gonna select this face, and we're gonna create another transformation, and we're gonna flatten this one. So easy peasy Japanese, do you know what I mean? There's always a method. SZ0, boom, done. And this is gonna work. Cool. Now you're gonna have to be careful here, because obviously it's gonna be a beef, because, you know, this is just gonna be really difficult to bevel this, especially when you're not using subdivision, which is something we're not using. So, you know, it's gonna be kind of tough. Also, this one's a little bit too long. I think I overdone it. So let's just, you know, grab these and G, Y, and move them in. Right, this will do for now. And what we could do technically, right? We could connect, you know, we could remove this, right? So face, and we could select these two and bridge them. If it's gonna even work, hang on a second. Let me just try to bridge these two. No, this isn't gonna work. Let me see this F, and then we could do this, right? And then remove these. So verts, cool, and then we can patch this. There's a mismatch here, which is actually fine, especially when we're gonna be running a bevel here. It should be fine. So let me just mirror and see if it's gonna be okay. So click, alt click, and we're just gonna run a bevel and turn off the loop slide. Let's see that. Yeah, well, you know, it's gonna create a bit of a beef. Let's just run weighted normals. This is gonna create a beef for sure. We could just run some loops in here and ease it off, but even with this, you will need to deal with this nonsense, right? This way or another, okay? So yeah, and this without subdivision gonna be tough. But you know what you could do? Or I mean, what we could do, we could slice it, right? So we could slash this entire part here, you know, separate it, right, and then run a bevel on it and subdivide it, you know. So this is, you know, this is doable, right? This is fixable, because if I run a subdivision and right now control 1, you see, it's going to fix it as long as I'm gonna have a bevel running on it, right? So all I need to do is secure, you know, secure these edges here, right? So control B, right, and then, you know, run some kind of a bevel here like this. And if I'm gonna run subdivision and I'm gonna nuke the smooth by angle, I'm just gonna have a, you know, more or less clean transition in here. Yeah, then this could be fixed basically, you know. We could slide these verts and create more uniform transition and size of these faces. This is gonna be a bit of a problem, but we can always, you know, move this one in here and ease it off, right? And this one needs to be connected somewhere here, so the you know, we're gonna stop having the end-gun stretching problem. And you see now it's looking kind of half decent, right? So you can just, you know, you can work with this, right? And then probably this one should be, you know, should be removed because we don't need it. So Control X, right, to kind of, you know, relax this, right? And then you can do, you know, something like this. Alt X to the other side, and you see everything is peachy. We got some stretching here and there, but we can always remove some of these to release the tension. Let me see this. This one could actually go. There we go. How is it looking? Yeah, that's better. And, you know, just for fun, we could always grab one of these and, I don't know, in, you know, Alt S them inside like this, right? To create this kind of a situation, and, you know, everything is fine. So yeah, like I said, it's not a big problem, but again, we're gonna have to secure everything with a bevel, otherwise this will not work. Yeah, so subdivision now not the best idea, but even without subdivision, this looks clean. Do you see what I mean? So, you know, you're fine. So don't be too hung up on subdivision, okay? Because, you know, it's not always the answer, right? Let's fix the shading, which is messed up. There we go. Cool. So let's save it, right? So now I need some water. I'm not crazy about this this transition here with this edge, to be honest. I probably would prefer it just, you know, like a flat surface. I'm not sure if I like this, you know, this one here. We see this on the flat surface. You see, it'll look better, cleaner. And I think, I mean, this could be always, you know, slightly stretched, you know. It's okay, right? It's okay. This always could be slightly stretched. Or what we could do is add some padding on top of it, you know what I mean, to just make the stock thicker. So, you know, that's another way of doing this, right? So, and when you're not running, you know, when you're not running sub D, you're always slightly limited on this stuff. All right. Always gonna be slightly limited here. So this could be also beveled just to follow the theme. And we could bevel it all the way up, you know, all the way up here. Like this, right? So we get the top clean. And we could slash this here, you know, with an end gun just to make it more interesting, right? And then align this, you know, somehow. So just recover this and align this, right? Let me just make this larger. There we go. The SY. Let me see this. Okay, this is a time to bevel. But you see, like, if we're gonna do this, right, it's fine, but we're gonna have to contain this area here with a bevel weight. Otherwise, this will not hold. So we will need to apply the boolean and run a bevel weight. In fact, this boolean probably should go a little bit deeper. So a bit deeper here, right? So it covers this entire bevel. Otherwise, it will not work. But, you know, we don't need to do that. We can just keep it straight. The other ways of slashing this, or, you know, creating some other interesting design here. So that will do. Now here what we could do is create a face out of this and mirror. And this is one face, right? Hopefully, yeah. So now we can align this, and we can align it to an active element. So switch to active element. And when I'm going to be using edge constraint now, it's going to be aligning to the active element, see? So we can do something like this, which is pretty cool. And, you know, I mean, when you're going to be using bevel and you're going to be using this kind of a, you know, situation here in Blender, you're going to have problems, man. I mean, this is, you know, this is a polygon based software. So unless you're running Sub-D, this is not going to fly. What we could do here is, you know, run corresponding subdivision on here, right? And we could simply merge them like this, right? So we could do something like that here. So another edge here. Sorry, not edge. I mean the vert GG and move it in here, right? And, you know, you could do something like this, and, you know, this will work, right? But then you will need to sort of, you know, combine these together somehow, right? Move this one slightly to the right, you know, and sort of expand this bevel a little bit and make it curve. But, you know, again, without Sub-D, this will not work, right? You will need to run Sub-D on it. Another way of getting around Sub-D would be not to use the bevel and use a procedural bevel, right? So, you know, use a bevel in cycles, which is gonna be perfectly fine. So we're gonna create structural bevels, but anything other than this, it's gonna be, you know, done basically procedurally. So let's just clean this nonsense and maybe run some bevels here. There we go, 2 on the bottom. So we're gonna follow the theme of bevels, all right? And now we can, you know, we can have some fun with this stock here. So we could actually cut it here in the back just a little bit. And in fact, not cut it off. What I wanted to do is cut a piece of it. So that's what I wanted to do. And this one can be actually beveled. That's not a problem. And this one can be beveled. So there you go. We're going to have to do it manually. All we could do is we could run a bevel on this. So sharpen, click, alt, click, and bevel this, you know what I mean? Manually. So you could create like a manual separation here, visual separation between these two, right? Let me just clean this nonsense. So clean mesh. That's better. But I see when you clean mesh, you gotta be careful because you're gonna be losing some of the geometry. So sometimes it's better to do it manually like this, right? And you're gonna be good to go, okay? So, right, boom, right? And then just mirror to the other side and peachy. So there you go. Trigger could be built in here, that's not a problem. And then we need to define some lines on the gun itself, so we could run something. Let me just switch to the cut. We could run some lines here, you know. That's gonna be interesting. Follow the angle here and maybe up like this, and then X and slash it, and then recover the cutter, because I think it's a little bit yeah, I would just actually extrude it in here like this and see what's gonna happen. That's not bad, but maybe that's too deep. Maybe we could just do something like this. This could be also interesting, and maybe bevel this in, I mean chamfer this in here. This could be cool. Or just a straight cut, or we could just align it to the handle, so you know, align it so it's going to follow the same kind of an angle, right? This could be interesting. Let me see this. And now, see, this one can be beveled, you know, because this one is outside this issue, right? So the only thing is you will need here, you know, a bevel weight. So let me just, whoops, control tilde, come on. My control tilde, oh, because I'm in Japanese language. If you're using a keyboard with different language, you gotta be careful, because sometimes your keys will not work, and the issue usually is related to, you know. There we go. And then if I switch to weight, problem solved. Yeah, problem solved. That's actually pretty cool. I'm not sure if this should be so angled, you know. That's what I'm not sure of. You know what I mean? Because everything is beveled. I think this should be beveled as well. But maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong before, just saying. Cool, now here we could, you know, we could slash this as well, like this, right? Do you know what I mean? So we can isolate the whole handle. X and slash it, right? What the hell happened here? I cut the handle. One more time. Go in here. All the way here, down. There we go. And this could be beveled. And this can't be beveled. So this would need to be beveled in, you know, afterwards, basically. You see, this is gonna cause problems here, right? Obviously, so even if I bevel this a little bit, I'm gonna have a problem here. I mean, what I could do technically, right? I mean, you could do is do something like this, okay? And it's going to more or less, you know, solve the issue, right? More or less. You just need a security. But you see, the problem is that you're gonna have kind of a distortion here a bit. What we could do is combine these two like this, and this might solve the problem. There you go. I mean, it's not terrible, you know. Remember, we're not running in a sub D, so we kind of, you know, we are really winging this. This is like pushing the limits of polygon modeling, okay? That's what's happening here. You're pushing the limits of polygon modeling, you know. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. And I'm not sure about these angles. They're a little bit steep here and there. I kind of like this, but I'm not sure about this one. You know what? Let's go back actually to this cut here on the top. Because before we do anything, I think I actually should run bevels here, you know? I really do. So I'll just do this. I just feel like this should be more supple. In fact, we could split this and run all these separately, right? And this one could be more supple, you know what I mean? And this one could be also a bevel. and this one could be angled, moved a bit deeper, and also beveled, right? I'm just saying, and I think it's gonna be better, but yeah, see, it kind of follows the idea, you know, that's better. And maybe here we're gonna have to be careful. What we could do is cut here straight. This could be a play, you know. So go all the way here. So grab this and cut close here. And cut like this. This could be interesting, right? But in order to do this, we need to maintain the angle here. There we go. Let me see this. X. And then we cover it. What we could do is run a loop here and drop this one at the same angle as the stock. Boom. This could work. Okay. So now bevel this, right? Bevel this. And I think this one should be a little bit... Oh, motherfucker. That's why you want to use power save. There we go. Where are we? I lost the bottom cut. Okay, that's fine. I'm just working too quickly, you see what I mean? So let's bevel this, peachy, and then let's do it again. So let's go here and cut it down like this. I think it's gonna be better. So X, slice it, then let's recover this. And I think this should be a little bit deeper here like this. There we go. And then we're gonna run the bevel here. And this could be slightly suppler. And this one could be a bit more, you know, aggressive, right? And this could be beveled. And this too could be beveled. So how are we looking? Yeah, this is much better. You see, this is much better. Makes much more sense to me in terms of design, right? Makes much more sense in terms of design. Cool. So here, once we apply this operations multiply, we could run, what's going on here? That's a manual bevel. That we need to nuke this. Hang on. Wait, we ran a manual bevel on this one, so we can't. Oh, mother. Actually, we can remove this with. Let me just unbevel this. We can remove this with mesh motion. It's fine because what I want to do is I want to run a chamfer. I think it's gonna be cooler. You see what I mean? It's gonna break this kind of a design here, and then run a bevel here, so it kind of goes inside of the stock. That's actually pretty cool. I might actually leave this bevel here. It's fine. So this could work for me. So that's that. And here we could have like a, you know, kind of opening for like a, you know, clip, whatever. So that's that. And the, you know, the easiest way to do this would be to simply cut here a bit for, you know, for the for some kind of a design for a handle. We could do it like this, or just go straight here like this, and we could even borrow this edge here, right? So Q and curve extract and P selection, right? Where is it? Q and operations multiply. There we go. Grab this one, right? And then control curve extract. There we go. So now we can scale this, shift us into geo, scale this a bit. I'll just move a cursor here and scale it on a cursor. Scale it on a cursor, there we go. And then draw, whoops, that's not what I want to do. Extrude it here on this axis In fact, this could go a little bit higher. So maybe somewhere here. And then obviously we're gonna have to curve it. There we go. And then this one could be going here like this. Combine them all with the face and then, you know, extrude it, right? And then we can just sharpen this and move it in. Okay. How are we looking? Looking pretty peachy. And booleans slash, right? And we got this, so do you know what I mean? So let me just see this. Let me just apply this operation smart apply. Let's fix all the normals. And now it should work. There we go. Let me see that. There we go. And we could just run a, you know, chamfer here. So boom, right? Yeah. And this one just fixed the shading. And there you go. And before I actually run a chamfer, what I would do is I would run a bevel here. Okay, and the same thing here. So just to, you know, let me just apply this to match this, right? You can do it manually, and then we're gonna run, you know, a chamfer, right? Don't have to be super precise, doesn't matter. Cool, peachy. So there you go. And we can have a bevel here too, it's fine. So wait a minute, what's happening here? We have the flip normals. You see, when you see shit like this, that's flip normals. Watch this. Alt 10, outside, boom, done. Yeah, so don't get fooled. Be vigilant. And if you want to make this a bit smoother, Control 1 and you're done. We're not going to be able to, well, if I'm going to add a subdivision here, it's going to collapse. There we go. But this could be fixed, because what we could do is simply, you know, select this entire section here, right? And we could run a, you know, run a bevel here. So Control B, right? And then scroll once and then press P, and fix the profile A, you know, and just have some fun with it, right? So do this, right? And we could do the same thing here. So click, Alt, click, and then, you know, Control B, and just, you know, do this, right? And we could technically run a subdivision on it, probably, right now, probably. I would need to probably connect these as well, because I think it's going to collapse. Yeah, it's collapsing. So you would need to basically, you know, combine all these. But, you know, subdivision could be done. Subdivision could be done. Should we do a subdivision? Fuck it, let's do a subdivision. So I'll show you how to do a dirty subdivision, right? So, you know, combine these. Why am I doing this? I don't know. I don't know why am I doing this. You talk me into this. It's your fault. Your fault. You did this. You're responsible for it, man. That's it. And this is called, you know, I'm just going with a knife. This is called dirty sub. I could technically use the end solve, but honestly, I can't be bothered. We can just run this like this. See, boom, and then combine these. What we could do here is run a star connect. Oh, just you could do something like this. It's good enough. Here too, I think this is gonna be enough. And then this one, let's just run here C, and then, you know, here C, and then we probably need to remove these because they're gonna cause issues. And this one is fine. Well, what we need to do is run a subdivision here, drop it down. So, whoops, let me just turn off the box cutter. Select all these and select this one, Q, operation star connect, and then Alt X, PG. And let me do this again. Where's my, oh, there we go, I need the middle edge. And this should be connected. I'm serious, like this is gonna be a disaster too, you know. I mean, what we could do here is just Control B this, right? and just, you know, turn off the loop slide. So come on, Control B, press C for clamping, turn it off. There you go. It's too dense. That's not a problem. It's way too dense for Subdivision. This is probably gonna collapse as well. Yeah, there you go. So you would need to connect all these separately, which honestly, it's insanity to even think about it. So what I might do is collapse this for the time being, right? And do it later. So, you know, X, delete faces, select all of these here, right? And then Shift 1 and then combine it here and then Alt X, you know what I mean? So we can do it later because I can't be dealing with this shit right now. This one, these ones, you know, they really don't matter. But we can do something like this, right? And then delete these. Control X. And this side shouldn't be collapsing anymore. So if I run a subdivision, this side should be fine. Do you see what I mean? Now it's fine. So now what we need to do is fix this side. So let's do that. So let's run here this, and maybe one more, maybe this one too. Okay. Sure, we could fix it this one too. So okay, and see, boom, right? And then we definitely need to fix this one because this one's gonna collapse. So what we could do is run, just connect these, right? Then click Alt click and click here and here, and we could just run, you know, Control B this like this, right? But this is gonna have to be fixed. So obviously we don't need the bevel anymore. Jesus Christ, bollocks. Let me just combine these. Hang on a second. Let me just move this down. Arrange these in a fucking line. This one too. Move this one here. These ones are disaster. What the hell is going on here, man? Hang on. Alt Z. Let me see this. Well, this one could go here, or maybe not. Let me just nuke this for a second. Oh, this corner is gonna be an absolute bastard, you know. It will be. What we could do is collapse it to a corner. So hang on a second. Instead of doing this way, give me a second. Maybe I can run an offset cut. Give me a sec. So let's just run offset cut here. So offset cut. Yeah, this will not work with offset cut. Okay. Yeah, this one's gonna be a bastard because if I am not going to secure this here, we're cooked, right? We cooked. So I could technically maybe secure it with a bevel, like a small one. But if I'm gonna do that, then sub D, you know, loses its potential. So I knew I shouldn't let you talk me into it. Okay, fine. Let's just run it then properly. So see here, all the way down here. So that's one. This needs to be sorted, otherwise it will not work. So here, what I will need to run a loop like this, and then bring it a bit closer. GG, there we go. And we can easily, you know, kind of run it like this. It's fine, doesn't matter. Because all we need to solve is this corner, yeah? So now here, we're gonna run another one. So we can run it from here, like this. The Subdi purists are now, you know, holding their cats, man, because this is like a horror film for them. They're holding on to the cats, man. It's like, please, please save me. This is too much. I can't bear it. This technique could be, I don't even know if this is gonna work, but we'll see. We will need some kind of edge here in the middle. So we could actually do this, you know, and insert this one, right? Like this. and then combine these two here, yeah, and see if this is gonna actually subdivide. So Control 1, yeah, I see it's subdividing. We need to nuke the smooth biangle, obviously. Yeah, this is clean. This is clean. We do need more subdivision here, basically. That's what you need, because this one is a really shallow, kind of a steep angle. So Control 4 maybe, there you go, and now it's working. So, you know, you can subdivide anything really, even your mom. You just have to know how to do it, okay? She may not appreciate it, but you can do it. Do you know what I mean? Easy peasy, Japanesey. Why do we have this kind of like a steep corner here? Kind of like an edge. Interesting. Let me see this. Do I even need this? I probably do. Let me GG this and select all these and start connect them here. So operations, start connect. So they're not kind of loose, you know. And also we should definitely combine all these here, you know. When you have like loose verts, it's usually a bad idea, right? You want to connect them because they're going to be pulling. The same here with the bevels and corners. This is going to create, you know, kind of bad topology for sure. So what you want to do is subdivide it and grab all these right here, and you want to start connected, and then you want to mirror it to the other side. Boom, right? So now it's going to be clean. Yeah, now it's going to be clean. This edge in the middle, probably we don't need it because it's creating a crease. There we go. There's a bit too much geo here happening. Something's weird. There's some. Let me just clean this. Let me just move this. GG. Can I remove every second? I can't. Shit. Well, let me try this. Yeah, that's a bit better maybe. I would need to space them in order to achieve the thing I want, which is I would need to go here, enable my loop tools, and space them, and this could actually solve the problem. Well, let's actually see, right? Because this is going to fix the bevel. So I don't think I can select them all at the same time. I think it doesn't work like that. That's how you fix unfixable bevels. Yeah. Technically, any problem can be fixed. You just have to know how to do it, right? And, you know, I would really recommend highly getting our course, the Hard Surface Accelerator, because if you don't know the basics, you know, you're gonna be always lost and kind of confused to what's happening. It's a little bit better now. You see, there was a bit too congested on this angle. There's still a bit kind of weirdly curving here, but I think it's fine. GG. Let me just move it a little bit further away. Yeah, that's better. See, fixed this kind of a issue. Cool. So there we go. We got some collapsation here in the corner because obviously we need to connect these. So here what I would do is I would connect maybe these, probably run like maybe a loop in here or something. Move this one a little bit higher. Connect this one here, right? Come on. And then connect all these to this one with start connect. It's gonna solve the problem. Start connect, there we go, and then mirror to the other side, boom, right? And these bevels are a bit too dense because, you know, I wasn't planning on running subdivision, but or whatever. This one is a little bit, you know, it's gonna be problematic. We will need to relax it, okay? So the way to do this, right, to make this a little bit more supple and kind of curvy, you would need to relax this entire area here manually. What we could do is use surface slide to do it quicker and simply move these verts. You could even move them, you know, all of them at the same time, but be careful because you may move them like this, you see. So when you switch to the bottom ones, you want to do it manually, right? So here, we probably want to move this a little bit, just a tiny bit. We could move this one as well here, but it's gonna move the face, and then you want to relax these a bit, you know, and that's how it works, right? but it's gonna be a little bit of pulling there because we have this kind of a weird transition here. What we could do is move all these edges, you know, backwards. Another thing you could do is say go with Alt R and, you know, fix this loop using edge constraint, because basically, right, what we should do, these edges should be following the curvature, so they should be basically more or less straight here. This is why we have this kind of a bulging here, but it, you know, it doesn't really bother me. It's fine. No one can see that, right? It's fine. It's fine. So the bottom part is subdivided. This one is subdivided, right? So it's nice and curvy. And here, see that this is collapsing too, and the reason being is because we need to connect these. So we need to run some loops in here, right? And we would need to just basically, you know, connect them. So one here, and then, you know, I don't know, whatever. And then when you start connecting them, this problem is going to start disappearing, right? Because the issue is that simply you have topology that is same here. You see that this pulling here. This is because we need to connect something here and inside. Something is not connected. See, these two are not connected, and that's why I got this pulling. So topology is, see that topology is going to be collapsing here, right? When you simply missing connections. So Subd is very sensitive to this sort of thing, right? So you don't have to have like quads or schmads or whatever. If you really don't care about proper topology, but you care about shading, you don't have to. You just have to know how it works. Okay, so like watch this. I mean, if you show this to any Subd enthusiast, they would have a heart attack followed by, you know, followed by an outrage. Okay, but guess what? I don't care because it works. We do have a course on subdivision and on how to do it properly. And in this course, I'm using add-ons because it's the only way to do this. An insane person will tell you that, you know, you need to use add-ons with subdivision because otherwise, holy shit. You're gonna be doing this all life, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to be always correct with it. But in that course, in the subdivision course, I'm actually showing you the proper techniques, not this bullshit, because, you know, that's not really proper topology. That's a nonsense, right? We would need to, first of all, it's too dense, right? We would need to subdivide this bevel here because it's too dense, because we're subdividing it a few times. So we don't need that much topology, right? We need to be simply prepared differently. But if you work with topology in mind, you work with Subd in mind, so you know that you're going to be subdividing something, that you're going to be working differently with that mesh, okay? Because you have a different purpose, okay? The mesh needs to follow a purpose. It's so important to understand this, okay? People say, oh, you know, subdivide this, subdivide that, quads here, quads there. But seriously, if you don't understand the purpose of your mesh, right, then don't even worry about topology, because the first thing you need to do is understand what you're going to be using this mesh for, you know, what's going to be its purpose, and how it's going to be serving you, right? That's the key here, and the rest doesn't really matter, okay? So, and what, you know, once you know that, then you can decide what you want to do with your mesh, okay? That's the key here. Let's just cut this. In fact, yeah, that's fine. Let's sharpen this, and what I want to do is mirror this. Actually, this is fine. Then Alt Z, and let's select this one and move it up like this. So we're gonna have the same kind of design on both sides. I like that. Cool. This could be a little bit wider, or this could be beveled here in the middle. This could be beveled, you know, this, right? So this could be beveled. We just need to reset the profile, so press P, and you can actually go here and set it to, you know, 0.5, right? Unfortunately, Blender will, now it's going to be flat, you see? So Blender is going to remember whatever you're going to do with your bevels, which is a problem, right? So if you're going to see this flat issue, like you're going to see a chamfer being beveled, just press Z and you're going to be fine. So again, going back, you need to know all these tools, because if you don't, you see like a situation like this, you will have no idea what the hell is going on with your mesh, right? So again, go back to basics and, you know, grab our accelerator course, because this one will teach you how to do all these things properly. And this is really important, okay? Cool beans. All right, cool beans. Now, wait a minute. Before I do this one, move this one down, I want to disable the actually enable the loop slide, I think. Yep, I want to enable the loop slide. That's gonna give me better results. So sometimes you want loop slides, sometimes you don't. This one is a little bit elevated. It's going up slightly because of the loop slide, but I think it's gonna be a better result, I think. Yeah, see, it's a better result. What we also could do, right, is run a cut. So we could run a cut here like this. So G and move it here, right? And, cut it, right? And then let me just apply scale here. And then what we could do is chamfer this, and then see chamfer like this, right? And then reconnect all these edges. Or do it manually, right? You could insert this here, okay? Insert it in like this, right? And then simply dissolve this edge, okay? It's not a way of doing this. So watch. Dissolve this entire edge here, right? So control, you see? Now I got the chamfer, and then what you can do is you can run, let me just apply a modifier here, so smart apply. And then what you can do, you can run the fuse with machine tools. With mesh machine. So go here and fuse, right? And you're gonna have a bevel. So, it's another way of doing this, right? And there you go. And this one's gonna be flat. So, see what I mean? Cheating death. Again, you need to know how it all works to kind of be able to attack different problems, yeah? So, cool. That's awesome. Looking good. Now, what I'm wondering is if it wouldn't be a good idea to actually cut it like this here. I think it's gonna be looking cool. So we can apply this, and we can bevel this one here, move it maybe deeper. I mean, this could work. Wait a minute, let me just nuke this bevel for a second, because I think my angle isn't matching here. You see that? I wanna match this angle here. There we go. So now let me increase the width of this chamfer, which will not work. Hang on, I think it's because of these edges. Control X, let me try now. Come on, what's the problem? The problem could be actually this one. So hang on, let me unfuse this. Or unbevel it, even better. Then mirror, then it's... I see, never mind. The issue was... Wait a minute. No, that's correct. So let's... in fact, you know what? We could... because I want to bring it a bit high. Actually, maybe not. I want to bring it a bit higher, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to make a deeper bevel. Like this. I'm not sure about this bevel here, not being so deep. I think this is better. Also, maybe this is too... Maybe we should do something like that. Choices. This is kind of cool, not gonna lie. Then we could have some, cuts here. Whatever, right? A V for, what you call them, array. Run this, then slice this one here with X in the front. Then we obviously need a grip here. So the grip could be running diagonally here and all the way here like this, right? We could actually switch to a face. So there we go, right? And then K and slash it with a... What the hell? One more time. I want to slash it with a knife. Okay, there we go. And grab this. In fact, before we grab this, let's actually bevel this one. There we go. And then grab this, right? And in fact, let's bevel this one too. There we go. And then let's actually mirror this and select all these and shift curve extract. There we go. And we're gonna have to cut this again. So what we could do is, you see, like, let me just apply this right. I'll show you. So operations multiply, right? You see, it's gonna create this kind of like an uneven sort of weirdly angled edge, right? Let me just nuke this bevel. But what you can do, right, you can select, maybe not select, like, oh, this is cutter. Let me just grab this cutter one more time. So Q and curve extract, right? So let's go here and select these two and go to local view. So now we got this cutter, right? So what I can do now is, you know, grab this cutter and grab just the edge. So grab the edge here, right? Or in fact, I could just insert it. So insert it a little bit like this, right? Control I and delete this. So faces, okay? And now what I could do is cut it. So we could nuke this one, right? Delete faces and then select this edge here, and we could set the custom. Let me just nuke this edge as well. There we go. E and Y, extrude it here, then drop it down and then close it, right? And let's just extrude it and nuke the bevel. You don't want to have bevel on cutters. And then simply boolean and slash, right? And nuke this nonsense. Do you see what I mean? So now you're gonna end up with a really clean cut. So that's one of the ways of doing it. And that will do. In fact, you know what I'm thinking? That maybe would be better if this was straight. I'm just saying. I think so. So I might do something like this here. And just bevel these. I think it's gonna be better. Yeah, that's better. Looks better. And this, I think it's more or less okay, but fuck it. It's fine. And the rest can be done with decals, you know. Don't worry too much, okay? Don't stress too much, you know what I mean? Don't stress too much. Here we can grab a face and insert it a little bit, and we can just run it in. And let's grab a cube. Let's move it to cursor, scale it and move it up here. Okay. Apply scale, and we're going to bevel this. Array it down, so X, PG, and then move it outside and chamfer it. Okay, cool. Slap some bevel on it. Good, good, good. And we could actually slice it here like that. Not slice, I mean not cut it, slice it. That's what I want to do. There we go. Come on. That's the one. Okay. And these could be of a larger bevel, so the separation is going to be deeper. Cool. And then we can have some, you know, some barrels here. They could be higher, you know, of a higher, what you call them, poly count, lower poly count, doesn't really matter, right? What we could do, actually, we could Alt D them. So Alt D, right? And then just Alt D them again, like this, right? So when you edit one, you're gonna be editing all of them. Do you know what I mean? So, and you can edit any of them, doesn't matter which one, because they're all linked. This is linked geometry. You can see here they're linked, 4 of them, right? So just that's actually interesting. I have a video on this on scale. If you're going to apply bevel, Hardup's going to apply scale. So let's actually Alt D this after, because I forgot that I have a scale that needs to be applied. Let's just insert this. Wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? I think I pressed the, there we go. I pressed the offset, that's why. Let's do this, and it's fine. We could run a trim sheet here on the top, you know. I'm just gonna create this, and then Alt D, right, and move it here, and then just Shift R, grab these two and move them down. Okay, peachy. So you got this, and there we go. And interesting stuff. Then here on the top, I mean, we could kind of hollow this out, you know. This could be interesting. So what we could do is we could hollow this out, and follow the sort of a design here like this. This could be interesting, I think. Then X and hollow it out and bring it back. And then, you know, obviously we need to bevel this, because you need to follow with the bevels, right? And each bevel you should do separately. Simple reason, because all of them except maybe these two are of a different width. So you want to bevel all these separately, right? Let me just hide it, and I'm going to apply this and run a chamfer on it, I think. And we're gonna nuke the loop slide. Boom, right. This thing's gonna look pretty dope. Yep. Okay. Cool stuff. The stock could be slightly slanted here. So let me just cut this. There we go. This is gonna be interesting, I think. That's pretty cool. And we could, you know, we could bevel this so sharp, and then just bevel this so it's supple, right? We don't really need any of this nonsense here, so we can nuke this and just, you know, bevel this generously, okay? The bevel is a bit too crazy, so nuke it down. We can have, you know, some stuff happening here later on. This in fact could be a little bit wider. So what we could do is just Alt S this, like this, you know. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting, I think, to make the stock a little bit larger on the back. And in fact, what you could do is connect it with a chamfer. So the chamfer is going to be connecting it sort of widthwise to this structure, maybe. I mean, to the main, maybe not. That's actually fine. Cool, awesome. I'm not crazy about this, so what I could do here is just cut this. So I want to actually run a cut here like this. And what we could do on the top here, we could run a screen, you know? So we could borrow this middle face here, because this is a face. So Shift Curve Extract, and just, you know, move it somewhere here. And you see that's not aligned. So let's just align this. There we go, that's better. Let's just, you know, grab this and make it wider. Shift S to Geo. Then we can add more solidification. There we go. And let's just grab let's just grab this one in the middle here, nuke it, grab this edge, then GG and C to extrude it, expand it here, and this could be kind of like a monitor. I mean, it's way too big, obviously, and too chunky, but you know, we're gonna figure it out. So maybe we should keep it flat. Yep. So let's nuke this. Let's bevel these. So now let's apply the solidification, and let's grab this face here, insert it, right? And then we're gonna, you know, extrude it, scale it, move it somewhere here. And I think it's just gonna, you know, bring it in like this, kind of like a hovering screen. What the hell happened in here? Let's just mirror this to the other side. There we go. This will do. Kind of interesting, right? And then we can have some sort of not cylinder, cube. We could have some sort of you know, a device here that's going to allow us to, actually we could run the Piccadilly Circus, as I call it, you know, the thing for the mounting scopes and stuff. I forgot how it's called. Piccadilly. I don't give a shit, to be honest. I don't do guns. Let's do this. And also what I would like to do is I would like to cut this here with the box like this, and grab this thing here. Let me just run a loop here in the middle. One more. Yeah, grab this and shift curve extract, and I want to run it here. Or we could shift S to geo and scale it like this, but this is too thick. Solidify it less, and definitely we could cut it, right? So, you know, slice it. But I would like something like this here. And obviously this is too aggressive on this side, so we could either slice it like that or straight. Straight cut is fine as well. Right, maybe a bit deeper. Let me just have a scroll this. Yeah, this will do. And then apply this, sharpen, and we know we need to run bevel on these two. Right. I think actually this is a bit too deep, so GZ and, you know, do something like this here. You know what I mean? And bevel this a little bit, right? Just a bit. Cool. Okay, there's some beef here. Let's fix it. Okay, that's good. This could be a little bit deeper, just a little bit, so we can run another bevel here. Or this could be straight, doesn't matter. You know, this could be straight. Mirror to the other side because reasons, and then we could, you know, extend this one all the way here. We could chamfer this using the distorted scale, and here we can cut this, you know, like this. Okay, something like this, right? Sharpen, and this could be slightly higher, and then we could just run the cuts in it. So let's just run one cut and scale it, and then we're gonna, you know, move it somewhere here and array this. Okay, and then here we should probably fix this. There we go, this angle, run some bevel, and save it because reasons, and then run some kind of a, you know, not a scope, but like a you know, something here in the front. Yeah. This will do. It's a bit too tall, but we could just cut it. So cut it. Maybe a bit less like this. And let's just cut it here. Actually, hang on. Let me move it here. Let me run a loop here. Let me grab this this face here of this cutter, extrude it, rotate it, and this could be a little bit less deep. So yeah, grab these two and move them up. Actually, let's just move this one up and realign this one. There we go. And then run another cut here. Oh shit, wrong thing selected. Okay, this is the wrong angle, isn't it? There you go, that's a correct angle. That's better. Let's just have a scroll this. This should be a little bit thicker. This should be a bit thinner. And in fact, this should go deeper. So there we go. That's better. Okay. So now let's apply this. Let's run the bevel here. Let's run the bevel here. Let's run the bevel here. And let's definitely run the bevel here. We could actually run a bevel here too, or a chamfer. And then two bevels. How are we looking? We're looking pretty good. Alt X, and then what we could do is grab this one. Shift curve extract, control curve extract. Move it in here. Let's insert it. And then do this and cut it. And then we're going to drop this down on this angle. So there we go. And then grab this face and extrude it on Y. There we go. I don't think it should go all the way though. Hang on, shit. Let's align this first. See? There's a problem here. What is causing this? I see what's causing this one. Let's just nuke the vertices and yep, we'll do it one more time. Difference. Hang on. Bollocks, there's no face in here, right? Wait. Face. 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 I think should work now. There we go. And this one should be straight. So Alt A, peachy. And I think that maybe we're gonna go deeper here. We're going to chamfer this. Bevel this. We're gonna bevel these as well. I can't see anything, I need a bevel. Okay. We have a flip geometry there, so we're gonna have to fix this. And this one could be inset. and extrude it to the back. So EY, boom, right? How are we looking? Oh, that's pretty interesting. Let's actually apply this and flip the normals. There we go. That's better. I think we're good. Sharpen. There we go. That's cool. We probably should, you know, slash this here. I would actually go maybe like this. This could be interesting, you know. Yep, a little bit too, maybe too aggressive. Maybe not like this. Maybe like this. A bit steeper angle, maybe. Yeah, I'm digging this. Sharpen. I'm gonna have to bevel these. And, you know, that's pretty cool. We could run another cut here in the front, just for fun. I'm just having fun, you know that, right? This one, you know, I mean, we should probably run, you know, a bevel weight here because this is not gonna work otherwise. There we go. We could have some two screws in here, you know, on the end, right? So, whoa. Shift V, align in ortho, there we go. Run something here. We could run them, kind of run a cut in, and then Shift D, scale it, and run another one inside of it here, like this, right? You know what I mean? So now if I'm gonna sharpen this, we're gonna have something really cool. Boom. So there you go, right? And then we're gonna have some screws, whatever. We could have even inside here, kind of like a, let me just show you. Let me just draw this, yeah. I have to draw it. In fact, we could, no, we can't. We need this, so let's just draw it. Okay, and boom, and then we can just grab this. And curve extract and connect it here with F, and then operations mode. Actually, let's just select it and EY and extrude it a little bit. Needs to be skinny. And we're gonna run Alt M, Shift click on blank matte, which should technically give us glass. There we go. Or did change the color of the of our mud cup, but so, but it's okay. Let me just reset it to well, we technically, yeah, screw it. Just run the regular mud cup. There you go. Because I wanna see this glass. You know what I mean? So here, yeah, we could actually bevel the whoops. There you go, right? And just scale it a little bit, so boom, right? Here too, we could have, you know, some kind of like a insert for the monitor, monitor like a screen, whatever, and shift curve extract, and then control and sharpen, nuke this bevel a little bit, and then have some fun here with cuts, some long cuts here on the bottom, mirror this, right, and peachy, and a bit too aggressive, so move them here, one cut here on the top, done, right? And this could be done with decals. What we could do is have fun here, but honestly, that can be bad. I think it's fine. We could have a chamfer here, at the end. I'm just saying. I think it's gonna look pretty cool. Awesome. This could be a little bit larger, so we could do is click Alt click here and mark it as seam, then L and Alt S, so we can expand slightly this one, right here, and scale it in, right? So we got this kind of let me just move it here a little bit manually, kind of like a bulging, sort of a slightly thicker handle, if you know what I mean, right? Then we're gonna be fine. Cool. And then the rest can be decals. This can be with decals. I'm not crazy about this cut here in the middle, but honestly, it's fine. What we could do is add some additional cuts in the middle. And the last thing we need is a trigger, obviously, because, reasons. So these empties, by the way, are from cutters. So now we need to think, right? The trigger needs to be somewhere here, because that's when gonna be the index finger, right? So the trigger is gonna be somewhere here. So let's you always wanna see the wireframe, right? So what we could do technically, right, is this sub D? Yeah, this is sub D, right? So what we could do is run some more loops in here, right? We could grab, a part of this, right? I think this is enough. We could just get a bit more, whatever. This is probably a bit too much. Maybe this is gonna be enough. I'm just saying. Then insert it, right? And just extrude it in like that, right? And you're probably gonna be fine. You could go a little bit deeper if you wanted to, but I don't want to. And if you really wanted to round this, which I honestly can't be bothered doing, we could, but we would need to redesign it, But I don't wanna spend 7 years doing it, so I'm just gonna keep it like this, simple. And we're just gonna build a trigger. So plane, right? Move it down here, rotate it. Let me just solidify it so we know what the hell is happening. Cool, and this is too thick, obviously, right? Move it up here, still too thick, there we go. And we're gonna rotate it. Or in fact, what we could do is do this. Bevel this, bevel this, apply scale. Mirror, right? Bevel. I'm not gonna be subdividing it because there's no point. And then what we could do is let's just apply the solidification. In fact, isn't it too thick? Yeah. Apply solidification, right? And grab this one and, you know, do this, right? So run a loop and scale it. Let me just straighten it up here. There we go. Move it like this here. And I'm gonna move it up and do this, right? There we go. And then weighted normals. And, you know, they probably should be slightly relaxed here. There we go. It's not gonna be ideal, but no one is looking, so it's fine. There's a bit of a beef in here, so we could just, you know, release some tension here by running a bevel, whatever. You could even run subdivision, 2 levels, you know, doesn't matter. It's gonna be fine. And the rest can be done with decals, okay? Now the bevel could be a little bit smaller, and we could run a chamfer here as well. I'm just saying. And it's gonna look peachy. And I think we're done. This trigger could be a little bit deeper here, yeah, right? So something like that, I suppose. Maybe a bit lower. Now what we could do technically is, what the hell happened here? We could dissolve this. And move this one up, or dissolve it as well. Hang on. Dissolve this. Wait. We messed something up here badly, so I'm gonna fix it. I'm just gonna cut it. There we go. And, well, the shape here is messed up, but it's okay. Let me just apply this. Holy shit, I forgot there's a the subdivision here. Let me just nuke this for a sec. There we go. Mirror from the other side. There we go. Then operations multiply. Perfect. And also we can cut this one here too. We don't need this complicated shape here. Okay. How are we looking? We're looking good. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it inside here to create some cool, kind of like an opening, you know what I mean? With a bit of bevel. Like this. And let me see this. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of, you know, problems in here. Have a scroll, let me see this. We could probably negate it a little bit by moving this. Let me just nuke the bevel from this cutter. It's gonna make things a little bit easier. Okay. Let me operations multiply. Let me just fix this nonsense. Jesus. What we could do is do this, right? Or just do this, right? And, you know, this, right? It's gonna fix it. So you don't have to be precise there. There we go. Sorted. And I don't think we need subdivision here. It's fine. So this is gonna create kind of like a bit of a, you know, design here and lighter form for the trigger. It's gonna look a little bit better, right? So just move these 2 cutters. Okay. And I think we're done. And the rest can be done with decals. Well, this video was, you know, long enough, so I think we're good. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're interested in learning properly how to use these add-ons, then grab our course, The Ultimate Guide to Hardups and Box Cutter. It's a brilliant course. It will teach you literally everything you need to know about, you know, how to work with Hardups and Box Cutter in just, you know, a day or two. And these add-ons are fantastic. So see here and nuke this nonsense. I hate this kind of weird rogue connections, do you know what I mean? So that one's a bit better. Not ideal, mind you. You know, this probably would be better. So I can nuke this, right? And it's just gonna be cleaner. There we go. That's better. I'm still not crazy about this here, you know, this cut, but you know, it is what it is. If the cut wasn't here, it would be better, or maybe we go in here. But you know, I mean, it's fine. We could always cover it with something. It's not a big deal. And I think that's that. We could also have something here. Some sort of a, you know, what I mean? I'm cutting the wrong thing. In fact, I could cut both of the, oh, maybe not. I'm not sure about this. I do want something here, but maybe of a different shape. Maybe something like this. Maybe. Well, this could be interesting. I mean, what we could do is go here to settings and shift click shade solid and, you know, recover this shape, right? So that's not gonna work. Let me apply this and then sharpen it. Motherfucker, hang on. Let me apply the bevel. There we go. And then bevel again. There we go. How are we looking? But it's interesting because we could have something here like a switch or whatnot, you know what I mean? So this could be kind of, you know, something here. So a cut here and then smash tools, settings, boom. And then again, sharpen, inset this, right? And then, you know, extrude it and bevel this, right? Whoa, okay then. Something like that, right? You know what I mean? I think it kind of fits. So it could be just on one side. So cool. Anyway, well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. And again, check out our course. The links are in the video description and in a comment pinned under the video. You know, and you take it easy and all the best modeling. We could also have some screws in here. You know, this modeling never ends. Do you know that? It just never ends. It's so much fun that I could do it forever. Anyway, if you guys want to see this gun being textured and rendered, then let me know. And I can always do it in a separate video. Cheers.